Okay, guys, good morning. Take 3. We're going to attempt that this morning.
Hello there.
There we go.
And welcome
Now
to
we're
my
right.
Arty Corner here on YouTube.
Yeah,
My name's
right.
Angela Porter, and amongst other things, I love to create art. I love to draw. I love patterns.
I think
And
that's
I was a
square.
science teacher for 28 years, which means I really enjoy helping people to discover their talents and their abilities. And while I was a science
This
teacher, I
piece of
also did
paper
teach some
we've
art.
got.
So, had some experience in that, but I believe that we're all artists. To be human is to be creative, and it's just finding out how to express that creativity in life. And everybody does it in a different way, but
15,
sometimes
16, 17,
we need a bit of a
18,
guiding hand
19,
and help,
20,
especially
21
if we
centimetres
believe that we can't
by
draw. So,
14,
with no further ado, let's get on today.
15, 16.
This is my sort of first successful attempt at this particular pattern. I was asked by, hang on, let me move my camera back a little bit, that's a bit better. This is where I'm more comfortable drawing. By Mr. Keith Chen, who's one of my subscribers here. And he said, how can you draw this? I've tried and I can't get it right. And I tried 3 times, I think it was it 3 times? 3 times in my sketchbook until I figured out the way to do this. And this one is most probably my most successful. It looks terribly complicated, doesn't it? Now, my instincts were, as I'm sure yours would be, is going, oh, look, these shapes here, this is where I start. No,
Negative.
no, that's not where we start.
No, that's
So
not where
let's
we
get into
start.
this.
It wouldn't be
Okay.
that simple. That way.
Where
Now,
we start is actually, let me feel this paper, which side, this side will do.
oh, of course, everything's
We're
got to
going
be
to
taken off.
start by drawing a shape that goes,
Oh, fall on the ground.
it's a kind of S shape. You don't need to be too particular about it, but we want to join one side to the other. Not corner to corner, I don't think. I think I prefer it, but you can if you wish. It makes no difference at all.
No.
And then we're going to repeat this kind of shape, except we're going to have a wider gap on the outside, and we're going to get the lines to become narrow
So,
towards the
something
centre
similar
and then
to
flare back
aquaphor.
out. So
Maybe.
a little wider, narrower, and flare
Wide
out.
and narrow. Okay.
Turn it over, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Wider, comes back narrower, and then we'll start to flare that out. Narrower, and flare it out. I've most probably exaggerated this a bit. Okay.
Maybe a bit bigger.
And I'm going to keep on doing this on each side until I'm ready to start to have, like here, a loop coming back. So I want a loop coming back here. But I'm not going to join it up. What I am going to do is I'm going to draw another line from here.
Wide.
But I want it to connect with this and go
Wide, and we go
inwards,
in.
like so. And I'm going to put a teardrop on the end. You could put a circle. In fact, let's do that. Let's
How
put
many
just
times
a
did we
simple
do that?
circle on
1, 2, 3,
or a
4,
shape that
5,
sort of mimics this loop here. So that would work.
7. Okay.
Like
wide.
So. And then I'm going to start close here, and I'm going to aura and allow this to get a little bit wider.
Okay, wide.
And as it widens at the end, it's going to do what it wants to.
And back to wide again.
In order to fill this space in. And I'm going to call that one done.
Wide.
That side done. And already we can see these lines beginning to appear like they're going inside and going somewhere. Now then, for the other side, we've started here and gone around here. So this is the way we're going to go here, but I'm not ready to... I could introduce one of these, actually. Let's have a look and see, because this will be new to me.
Two on this side.
So here, I just want to... No, I shouldn't have. I should have done a couple more, but we'll work with this and see what happens. So I'm going to introduce this shape, and I'm going to leave that gap.
4, 5, 6, 1
So
more.
I'm curling round, but not quite joining up, leaving a gap, starting wider at the bottom here. And then I'm going to draw a line that
Okay, so we've got...
goes around.
We loop around. So we don't do that bit. Okay. Come back down to me for a minute. Now, we've done our lines.
Goes around and
Now we go
back
wide.
up, perhaps. And we'll have that just joining there. I think I actually want to have that a little bit of a different shape.
We come in
And I'm thinking, oh gosh, have I mucked this up
we do
now?
a curve.
I'll leave that. I've got quite rough paper here, and I've got a Pigma Sensei pen that is, the nib's nearly on its way out. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to go...
So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start close to this. I'm going to flare that out. Got an awkward space here. I'm not happy about that.
I'm not terribly happy with my one either, Angel.
And I'm going to do exactly the same as I did on the other side.
Okay, we're going to put in our line.
Like so.
Going to go in, put in our line, and do our inside loop.
And here.
Now we're right.
Just
now
get
we're
my
right.
thicker pen. I've got
I've got a
flexible
wide
nib
spot
pen.
too.
This is a Zig
I've got a nice big wide spot
Mangaka
there.
flexible pen. And I think what I might do here is I'm going to make this a whomping great big black blob.
Yeah, we've got
It
to
seems
come...
about the only thing I can do to kind of
we've
make
got
this
to come out and go up to there. So we'll come
feel
out.
right. I don't know. I must probably completely mess this up now, and I'm going to do the same on this side where I am.
We come out there.
Creating
okay.
a shape that is more like the
And we
outside
just
one.
fill up this
Yeah, they're
spot.
big and they're bold. And I can live with big and bold.
Big, bold and beautiful. Yes, it's bold and
So
beautiful
we've got
there.
those there defining this space. Now for these, this would actually be one of the black bands.
Yes, I think it would
So I'm
be
just
too.
going to, instead of having a
Somehow
thin line
I've
at the
done
bottom,
mine.
I'm going to start to
I think I've done mine a little
just
bit differently here.
thicken that there. But I'm not quite sure how this is going to work out around here, and I'll explain what I mean now in a moment. So I've done that one. So if I start with this one, this is going to be left empty.
Fill up this
So
space.
the next one out is where we're going to add black.
Yeah, we're going to fill up the space here.
Because I've got a really ridiculous shape here, it's going to take me a little while to fill in, even with my
Brush.
flexible nib pen that gives me... I keep moving towards myself, sorry.
Somehow this is
It gives
not
me a
going
broader
to be
line.
right,
It's still
is
going
it,
to take me a little while
Princess?
to fill this in, because I can do with an even broader pen than this.
2 out of 4 dogs
But,
in my
you know,
room. Not terribly happy
I
with
won't
my
bore you with it
lines,
all,
but
but
maybe it's the paper.
we can start to fill this in, and then I think the trickiest part is actually working out the patterns. And I think for this, we do need to start from around these rather than from the middle out. I've really made a mess of this one, haven't I? Yeah, done that. I'm still learning. I've done quite a few this morning, trying to work this one out.
Well, that won't matter, because we're
It's
going to paint
deceptively
one of these lines
difficult,
black anyway.
deceptively
that
easy,
won't
but there's
matter
some
down here.
trickinesses in it as well that need to be considered. Part of me just wants to cut this off, and I think that might actually work. I may do that.
Yeah, this is a Sharpie 07. Oh, that's alright. That's the way it wanted to go, guys.
So I'm just going to work my way across here. Hopefully. That's more or less done. So we'll miss a band and we'll fill in a band.
You miss a band and you fill in a band. Okay. Oh, that's better lining.
And hopefully we won't need any finagling of patterns on the other side when I get there. I'm turning my paper around because for this I prefer to push this pen away from me.
Not too sure about
just what
this
I'm
pattern,
doing here.
actually. Now, now we've got to come back over on this side.
And this is
and we've got to
my
leave
piece
our line
of
up
good
there.
advice for today.
Okay, on my
If you've got
drawing
large
anyway.
areas to fill in
Now,
with black
we've got to
or
come
any
up.
colour, invest in a broad pointed pen or a pen that has a nib that can become different thicknesses, you know. It saves so much time and effort.
And
it saves the nib of your finer pens.
Look.
I do tend to draw on a bigger scale than, say, they do for Zentangle. I only ever use a 0.1 pen for fine details in my drawings. Sometimes fine contour lines and so on. But I do have a tendency to draw big and bold, or bigger and bolder.
Okay, we'll just do it the way we did it.
My usual go-to size of pen for drawing is actually an 05, sometimes an 08 or 07. Now I've got an issue here because I've got two sections here together, and I need them to be.
What I didn't want it to do.
I need a black one in between.
That's not right, is it?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to
Got a funny loop here.
this particular line. I've got enough space to do that. And I can bring that around here.
I'm going to try and do to me, Angela, get my brain working. Apparently my brain don't want to work today.
And there we are. We've
Now
got,
we're gonna
oh
have
gosh,
that
as
black.
I move the paper with the nib still down, not a sensible idea. But there we are. We've got a space that is broader again. The fact that it's not as thick as the other ones is fine. We're not looking for perfection.
Make sure your paper ink's dry.
If you wanted
using the
perfection in
Sharpie.
the shapes of these, you'd have to use something like French curves to draw the lines
I don't
perfectly,
like
and goodness
that.
knows what. I'm not looking for that. What I can do
So when we
here, though,
colour
I
in with the
think I can
paintbrush,
increase the line
that's when it
weight
will
just
come
here
to
a little
life.
bit. And perhaps work on bringing this to a better kind of... There we go. That's a bit better. A bit messy there. And perhaps here I can adjust this then, just to take that into account. So that's beginning to work. And then these ones on this side are going to work perfectly because we're not worried about
like that.
anything,
No,
you know,
this one is so...
butting up to one another or whatever. This one here does need to become that little bit wider at the base in both areas, so we can just do that. And that works fine. So I'll just fill in some of these quickly.
I've got this area here. Do I just...
And of course, you know, the black
Okay,
and
we'll just continue
in
with
this
the
case
lines.
it's sand coloured Fabriano tone paper. But the black and the plain colour will actually work really beautifully with this, just as it is, but you can enhance this with some shading, which I'm going to do.
Yes, all in the shading.
But we need to fill in some of the black first. Having said that, it works nicely like this, and we could just, instead of filling in the large areas,
Just
we
do
could
it like
create
that.
lines that get thicker towards the end, like a lot of Zentangle style patterns do. If you think about, is it senna and pepper and similar patterns to that, those are the ones that come to mind.
The same,
But
which I tried to do last night at 10 o'clock at night and it didn't work out right.
this is certainly op art from way back. And I do have a bit of a passion for op art, I do have to say that. There is something lovely about op art. I love, and it features in my, not op art itself, but that desire to create.
Where's my paintbrush go?
The feeling of dimension in your artwork is very much with me.
Sharpie.
And the high contrast to achieve that.
Then we're using a Sharpie, we'll use a Sharpie.
It is something that I love, the warping of space, imaginary. I think it comes from my love of things like, I grew up in the 1960s, 70s, into the 80s, so things like this were all around. And I also grew up with an older sister who is very artistic, not in the same way as me, in her own way, but with books or images from Escher and so many other things around.
If you've got Sharpie pencils, it's perfect for that.
Those influences you're exposed to, I think, as a child or as a young person, stay with you through life. And things like, I don't know where William Morris has come from, the arts and crafts. Actually, I do. That, I think, has come from a lot of time spent at Castle Court, the Red Castle.
I didn't mind Roman.
Not too far from where I live. As a child, we used to spend.
We never did this type of
down there on Sunday afternoons to explore the castle and the grounds. And back in the day, it was free entry. And now it's managed by
cutting,
which is the Welsh equivalent of English heritage and Scottish heritage. And
always cutting the finger with the blade.
There is an entry fee unless you remember.
And how many times
I've been there for a long time, won't you?
Cut finger.
But it's a wonderful place. It's like a fairy tale castle. It's a Victorian folly of what a medieval castle should have been, or medieval life was, which it never was.
Yeah.
It is built on the foundations of a castle from that time, a smallish castle or house of some kind, fortified house or manor.
This is looking good, so maybe ours will be all right.
The architect and artist William Burgess did all the designs and plans.
Maybe ours will be all right too. Now,
one of the arts
the
and
next line, we've got to skip a line. Now we've got to skip
with William Morris and so on.
We'll skip one and go into the next.
So that's where that comes from. Medieval manuscripts, who knows? Most probably from the arts and crafts, because they were very much inspired by medieval manuscripts and things of the past, Gothic architecture and so on, in nature. So I guess that's where it all comes from. So this is basically the pattern that the person known on here as Keith Chen asked. And I am going to just slice a bit off because that will make me feel happier. Because I can do that.
No, I haven't got one of those machines yet.
Do that. So that feels a bit better. That does feel a lot better, actually. And I am going to add some shading into some sections. So I hope this made sense. Please let me know that it did.
Section.
It's
Shading.
The most difficult part is getting these areas and then working out when to spiral this around.
Yes.
I don't think you can go wrong, though, in many ways. I don't think so.
I've gone wrong.
Okay.
I've gone wrong.
Let's head for. I was going to use graphite pencils, but I think I'll use
some colour.
I'm looking for.
Well, so much easier filling in these lines with the Sharpie colours.
Got that. Okay, come on. Where are you? Where are you hiding? I don't want ink black. I don't want dark chocolate.
Oh yeah, dark chocolate.
Typical, isn't it? Yesterday, in the video I did yesterday, all the colours I wanted just popped out at me. Ah, there we are, Madder Brown.
Brown, okay.
Just popped out at me. They were just there today, not
Yep.
so, but you know.
No, today
So
they've
I'm
been
just going to
difficult,
put
I
some
know.
Madder Brown where these start to disappear underneath this section.
Most of my time's going to be
Like
taken up
so.
with filling in these
And I'm going to
lines.
do the same on the other side.
And take your time, guys. If you're filming, all the better. You'll be able to look back on your work and say, oh,
So
I
I
did
think
that
this
terrible, or
addition
I
of
did that
shadow here will
brilliant.
really help.
I'm very
Already
happy
you
with
can
my
see it
paint
does
pour
with just
from
that
last
little
week. It's brilliant.
hint of this
I can't really
shading
call
going
that
on
one a
here.
bloom, though.
Now this is going to be tricksy, but if I'm adding colour to all of this, in all of
No, I
these
call them a
sections, it will
blowout.
all look very much the same. So
I'll show you the update in a
I've
minute.
picked a water brush up that is insisting on flooding water
I'll
out.
show you the
But
update.
if we drag this out, and even that little bit of extra colour will, as it dries,
Now,
it will
that
fade,
one,
so
we'll
we'll
go
be
into that
fine.
one.
That is the point, it will fade as it
Okay,
dries.
check out Angela's.
And the water, I could have left
yeah,
it
the
without
water
any
lets you
water
bring it
on.
down.
The water
Okay.
activates the beautiful
Go
colour of
watch
this
Angela.
Madder Brown.
Angela Porter, subscribe to her.
We'll take that away,
She's a
and I
very
will
good-
just bring this around just
Very
that
good
little bit.
teacher.
Already, the difference that makes, just that little hint of colour. And I'm not spending a lot of time doing this. You could do this with graphite, you could do this with chalk pastels, you could do it with coloured pencils, or any other media you prefer to use. I'm using brown because it ties in with this sandy coloured background.
Yeah, it does too.
I
It's
do
not
like
good.
that.
Looks good in that one.
And the paper I'm using isn't really meant for
Watercolour.
water.
That,
using it
my other
today.
sketchbook's not either.
It's
It's
the
wrinkled the
Fabriano tone
page.
paper is 15% cotton, so it's a bit more robust than it claims to be. It will take it, but you can see how it's warped. I've got that going on there. And do you know what? I think I might just pop some this colour here
Now I'm
at
going to
the
use my
edges,
white ink today.
because
I'm
these
gonna
do
use my
look
white
like
ink
they
with
are
my pen.
bending downwards, don't they, and away from us.
My ink pen.
So I
Yeah, then
think
I've
I
got
might
the glass
just
one. We'll put
play
some
with that
dots
idea
and
by
lines
putting
in
some of
these, I
the
think.
colour at the base.
We'll try and be different from
And
Angela's.
just bringing it up.
Make
look
it
here.
yours.
I think that'll work.
Got a nice gold pen. Use
Yeah.
gold. Gold or
Let's
silver.
have a look and see how
Work
that
too.
works with this. I think it will work fine.
I think I want to use the alcohol.
Again,
The white ink
just want to
one.
blend the colour out, but keep it fairly dark towards one end. So I want that gradient going on here. And yes, I'm using the back of my hand to clean my brush off on,
Nothing wrong with
because
that. Been there, done
remembering
that.
to get kitchen roll just doesn't happen. But it washes off my skin, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Doing it on paper
Don't worry about
washes
that,
off skin.
guys. You're into
Don't get it on
art.
your clothes, though.
We
when
always
it's
have
wet.
messy hands
Leave
when
it
we're
out,
into
'cause
art.
it will stain. I've actually used it to dye paper. Ooh, there's a bit here that I want some in. Miss that
The only
bit
thing I
out.
should recommend you wear gloves
There
for
we go.
is
Just very
resin.
quickly.
Always wear your gloves with resin.
Although I've done this across a whole of a square
And have wet
piece
ones
of
on
paper,
hand.
this pattern would fit
Fine
into any
clean
shape
one
that
was
you
excellent
wish.
for that.
And I've created
Washing
this
your
quite
hands
on
and taking the
the
stickiness off.
large side.
So always have them on hand and you will be fine.
Because
Got a nice sunny day, do it out in the open, take your
for
table
the
out,
ease of what you can
do
see,
it out the oven,
the ease of you seeing
outside,
what
in the sun.
happens, but also because I just love this big bold design, this big bold pattern.
Put your gloves
really.
on
There we
and
go.
go
So
for
we've
it.
got that spread out, and then it's just a question
Depending
of
on which
activating
resin
all
you
of this.
use.
And
Most of them
might
are
need to blend
either
a little bit more
1 to
out
1
just to get
or
that smooth
2
gradient
to 1.
going, but we can do that.
Mine's 2 to 1.
I love the colours when they're wet. It's a shame they don't remain that colour as they dry.
No, they change
So
colour
while that's
on you.
drying, I'm just going to pop these to one
They
side
change
because I
colour.
don't need those
I've
anymore.
noticed that.
Okay, and I did want to look for a, there it is. I have got a white charcoal pencil. I'm
I
going to
can't
give it a
get my
quick
white charcoal pencils to work.
sharpen here, or a little bit of a
I do
sharpen.
not want to know
I
me.
want to find a cleanish
I do
tortillon
not
that
want
I
to
can
know my
use.
drawings.
That'll do. It's got some brown on it, but it'll work. Because I do want to put some, because I'm
Now I've got
working
to
on
skip
toned
that one. I've
paper,
got to go into this one.
I can put some highlights where I,
So it's very much
where I
like
think these were
aquafleur and
curved
pepper and
to their highest extent
a
here.
couple of drawings with uses this
So a
type
little
of
bit away from the colour I've
in
just
between
added.
blackouts.
Okay, let me have a look. I'm just going to gently buff this out. May need to add some more, but I can go. You can always add more.
No, I
You
could
can't.
have
It's not easy to
reused my
take away.
ink. No, this is faster.
So that actually
This
is
is much
working quite
faster.
nicely. So I'm
Use
going
your
to put some more
Sharpie
in the highest
or your
point
brush.
of these.
Your brush pens.
I wasn't very generous on this side and here, so I'm going to add a bit more. I do want it to blend down on either side. I don't want a solid white band. I would like it just to blend. And unfortunately, I've got some of this on my black, which is not ideal as far as I'm concerned. I am going to put some white here. If I was a bit more careful with the tortillon, we would get less on the black.
Okay, now we'll skip that one. We'll
Is
go
what it
into
is.
this
I
one.
do want some white down here. I use that saying an awful lot, don't I? It is what it is.
It's going to be a long
And I think
video.
that's a good attitude to have. This isn't necessarily a complete
I would put some music on,
work
but
of art. It will
YouTube
end up in my
tells me
sketchbook,
no.
don't get me wrong.
Can't use your music.
And I've now done this a few times, so I've worked out how I do it, and that memory
I'll
of
get my iPad.
how I
pop
create
out.
this will be there, though I might make a note in the sketchbook next to it about starting with this
See what
central
music I
bridge
can use
and working
if
from
they
there,
let me in.
because that
They
does make
weren't let
some
me in
kind
the
of
last
sense.
time when I signed in.
You said it, don't give up the first time you do it.
Oh, that's a bit close.
Try again and
That
again
went a
and
bit
again.
close,
This is what
guys.
sketchbooks are perfect for, because they're spaces where you can practice. If you haven't got a sketchbook, just use some printer paper or any kind of paper
We were a
available
bit
to you,
close there.
and just draw it again
made it a
and
bit
again and
closer.
again. You don't spend
Fix
time
up the
colouring all the
curve.
black areas in,
There
because
are the pen in a minute.
you know that will come. But just practice,
Fix up that
practice,
little spot
practice.
there. We'll skip that one and go into this one.
You know, I did 4 versions in my sketchbook. I think I did 5 on tiles, and I'll show you them all. And it took me a while to figure this one out, but I've
Yes,
got
I think
there.
I should do another one too, a couple
And
more.
if it's taken me, what, 10, 11 goes, which I haven't shown you all of, because that would be very tedious and very boring,
No,
then
I'd like to see you.
just don't give up the first
Tiles.
time. I know I get frustrated with myself when I've got patterns to try and I just can't get them the way they sort of like
Aquafleur I have
Canva
trouble
done,
with.
officially done, if it's a Zen
I
table pattern
definitely
and so on.
cannot get them to go the way I want them to
But
go.
I think
I can't get
it's
that
that,
loop.
it is what it is, and I'm happy with how it's worked out, is the key to this. Okay, let's see if I can just get this to lie a bit flatter just by adjusting this paper.
Now,
It's still a bit wobbly, but it'll be fine.
this is where I went
That
wrong here.
is
I
the
should
pattern that Mr. Keith Chen wanted me to have a look
basically do
at.
in this line.
So, I have got some areas where there's white chalk on black, but it doesn't show up too much. I mean, you could put highlights on the black if you wanted to, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave them plain matte black and let the white areas shine against them. So, key to doing this, start with this central region of auraed lines.
Yeah.
When you get close enough to the edge to start a loop round, do that, but don't connect it because we want a line to come up and through and create this dark central area here. Then you just start auraing the sides, and then highlight and shadow is what's going to bring this to life. And I just think that it'll be a fun pattern to fill in spaces. Shall we have a go at that? Shall we?
Yeah.
Shall I?
Yeah, go again, Angela.
Let me get another piece of paper. No, I'm not going to completely draw something like that.
I'll change that loop.
But let me have a look. Oh,
I
yeah,
changed
there we go.
my loop.
We'll use this. So I am going to draw a random shape in the middle. First find the 04. And perhaps in a...
I think we should have started with the loop.
a Pangea kind of way, but I am going to...
Yeah, Pangea is another one too that uses the lines.
aura it.
Yeah, double aura. Oh, you're going to do that?
Like so, because then what I can do, I'm going to just close my curtain a little bit because the sun on my curtain's by the side of me because the sun is streaming in here.
Yeah, I've noticed the sun's very bright out there today.
Bright for this even.
I went out to the shed.
So what I'm going to do...
I've got a couple of videos to upload in a minute.
Oh, honestly, it's beautifully sunny out and I'm closing the windows, the curtains. It's fine. So what I'll do around the outside is I'll create some kind of pattern. But in here, I want to put one of these in the centre. So I'm going to do the same kind of thing where I'm going to draw a kind of S shape. And then going to start wide-ish on one side and go narrow and then just flare out a bit. I'll do that on the other side, like so. And I want to create my inner beam, which is what I'm doing here. For some reason, I feel there needs to be an odd number of things here. But ultimately, I don't think it matters too much, so I'm going to go round here. And I think the next one on this side is going to be the one where it comes back around, so...
Yeah, we'll go over these lines again with the other pen.
It's going to create a big space there, but we'll do that.
Right, we're just colouring them in at present.
I'm going to move that line that I've just drawn from here to connect. It's going to the middle. I've taken them right to the centre. And I'm just going to put that kind of line going in here. And then it's almost as if these come around behind here. So it's exactly the same thing that we did. It's just that we've got an uneven border. Okay, so here I've gone round this way, so I need to start on this side.
So much easier
so again,
to put it with a Sharpie.
The same, and I think this one might actually come around here.
Only 10 more lines to go, guys.
So I'm going to bring that line down towards the centre of this space, and I'm just going to put that kind of shape there. One thing I did notice when I was practicing or working this out is if you put a little kink in these somewhere, you can actually make them feel like they're undulating. So experiment with the shapes of these lines and how you make them bend and curve and see what happens. So again, we've got this kind of pattern in here, but it's slightly different because it's a different kind of thing going on. So let's have a look and see what happens when I add black to some of this. Again, I'm not going to colour it, well, I say I'm not going to colour it all in. Most probably won't. Or if I do, I'll stop the camera and come back. It makes some kind of sense, wouldn't it? So let's have a look here and see what we're doing.
Yeah, you can see, well, that looks good. Okay, let's have another look at that. That looks easier to do somehow.
Okay.
Only 35 minutes, that's not bad, guys.
Let's do this.
Especially one as big as
It doesn't
this.
take me long to complete
21
this.
by 15,
Or at least one side
wasn't
of
it?
it, shall we say.
Centimetres.
Couple in the middle. So I don't want to do this one. I want to leave this one here. So I'm just going to fill this space in with black. This very graphic nature actually works wonderfully to fill in a strange shape. Now here I've got two of these together again by this thin line, but this is part of this central one which actually would also become wider towards the bottom, so I can thicken this line for this one that goes here, and also then perhaps add some extra ink in the centre there just to bring that together.
You can straighten up your lines
So,
in a minute. And we're
you know,
done.
I keep count. I sometimes think, oh, we need an even number here or an odd number there. But
Straighten
ultimately,
them
it
up,
doesn't
and then
matter
we'll
as long
put
as
some white on it.
you're able to think kind of
graphite.
creatively about how you fix things. And ultimately, nobody's going to know unless you tell them, oh, I messed up here and this is what I did to fix it. You get to see me working warts and all.
Yep, you get me.
Because this,
You get me too that way.
it happens, and we
I
make
don't
mistakes.
edit. I don't edit.
I sometimes
guys.
forget
put
to
them
watch
up
where
in
my
the
pen's
raw
going.
state.
And so my eye moves to the next thing I'm going to draw
Whatever
instead
it
of
is,
focusing
it
on
will
where
be.
my pen is at the moment. And my pen will go off in a random direction. I think, oh no, not
This will
again.
probably use up all the ink
And then
in
I have
this
to fix
stuff.
that. Now, if I'm scanning something in,
Now maybe the lines on this could have been a little
then I
bit
can fix it
closer
digitally,
together.
so I don't need to worry. But if it's a pen that's,
Closer in.
you know, this is the finished drawing, as it were, then I have to think of a creative way of altering that, or hiding it, disguising it, or making it part of the overall pattern or design. And there's always things you can do. It is that creative thinking, and instead of going, oh no, I've made a mistake, it's about
Fixing the
thinking
mistake.
that, well, actually, this is a creative opportunity for me to learn something that could be different and interesting and something I really like.
Yeah, that's
And
it. Might be,
I can
might
adjust
work
this to
itself
suit
out.
me.
Yeah, we might be able to come up with a real original
And
drawing.
just remember, don't point it out to people, and the chances are people wouldn't even notice. They'll think it was something that you did deliberately.
When I start, it's like that.
I think it was
Say,
Bob
oh, no,
Ross
I
that
meant
called
to
them
do
happy
that.
little accidents. Can't
They're
remember.
happy little
I think it was
accidents, that's it.
one of the art teachers in the school I taught at would describe them as creative opportunities.
I'm not really worried about these little bumps.
But whichever way you look at
I'll
them,
go and come in with my other pen in a minute.
it is an opportunity to
This
learn
is just the
and to
colouring in stage.
grow and to develop your
Fix your
art
lines
skills, your
up
art
later.
repertoire, your drawing skills and repertoire.
Oh,
A little bit
last
more.
one,
So this
guys.
one, again, I've got this area where I've got two
Last
spaces.
one.
So I'm just going to
Perfect.
use that as an opportunity to
Perfection. Now
make
put
this
him
a bit
back in his
denser in ink, so it looks like it
container.
belongs in the pattern. And there we are, we filled
Always
this
put the lid
area
on.
in
Now we come back
with the
in
shape.
with
What I
our
am going to do, though, as well, is
O4,
the original
I think.
lines are a
Come
little
in with
bit
our
on the
O4 micron.
thin side for this. I think you need chunkier lines. So that's what I'm
And
going to
we'll
do. I'm just
fix
going
up these
to
little areas
thicken
here.
the border, the
And the little
inside border here.
line here.
I was going to say I'm going to try and keep it a consistent thickness with this pen, but there's no hope of that. but it doesn't matter because it will look like it's supposed to be that way. Like so. And I think I may just do the same with the outer part. So I'm using a flexible nib. I'm just going to allow the line to thicken and thin as it needs to. And in some ways I'm actually going to make that quite deliberate as I go around, where I'll press lighter and softer in places to play with that idea, so it looks like it's deliberately like that because it's the same all over. And of course, around the outside we can do all kinds of things, so I'm going to use this chunky pen to start putting things in. And for this, I'm going to turn this into a flower. I must admit, this pen isn't my favourite for drawing with. The flexible nib is a bit too soft for my liking and for my heavy hand. But
yes, I'm a bit heavy-handed too. No, sit down, darling. I'm drawing,
so
sweetheart.
let's do another flower.
Your Uncle Andrew's having a draw day today.
Do I need the same number of auras around it as on the other one? Nope, I haven't even counted them.
No, just straighten up the edges a little bit.
Same as the number of petals or the length of them, I'm just doing them as they come.
Fill any little holes.
As they want to flow out of my pen nib. Filling in my little spaces here and there. And so we can do another one here, so I'm going to this, my nib is actually I put more pressure on the downstroke, so I'm actually getting these variations in line thickness.
Oh, she's going around to the
as I work with how my
flowers and that.
hand pressure moves. A bit like brush
having
calligraphy.
a 1960, 1970 moment.
That kind of thing. So I'm just going to work with that as I go.
Flowers in her hair.
Here, perhaps add some more.
Yeah, if we go and have a look, I'm not showing you the end results. No, I'm not. Gotta go and subscribe to Angela.
There are many makes of flexible brush pens.
It's free to subscribe to both our
I've tried
channels.
many. I keep going back to the Tombow though. I've got a few of these in my stash, so I will make use of them.
Don't ever get the dollar symbol on my site.
Sometimes you've got to try
no
things to work
obligation
out
to
what
put any
suits
money
you.
in or anything like that.
And I do go through fads and fancies where I like
I just like to be
bold pen
miniaturised.
strokes, and then when I prefer something that isn't quite so bold. And
by Christmas time would be very nice to get my first
today is a
little
bold
page yet.
pen day by the looks on it, and I'm fine with that.
YouTube.
So
Be very nice. Don't know how much you get. I just like to know how much I get in the first video.
of course, with flexible pens, it's easy to get these line weights as well, as they're called, the thicker lines and
Yeah, just straighten up your
the
lines.
ends of lines that are thick.
Best
With the hand
as
to
you
go back
can.
and do them. It does take some kind of control here, though.
Fill any little holes that the ink's missed here and there, like that one there.
Here, I'm going to just change this a little bit.
Ah,
So
okay,
I've got
that's
something
pretty.
that looks like a border or a ribbon or some other thing that's appearing from underneath these flowers. Oh, that's a wonking great big thick line there. And so I've got this opportunity here now to put a different pattern in. I think I'm going to go to something that is quite straight lined. using this kind of zigzag pattern. I think it's the Zentangle pattern Shattuck.
Shattuck, yes, Shattuck, yeah. Sounds
It
familiar.
features in an awful lot
Actually,
of
that would look nice inside these. In a different colour.
There are very few, well, there are patterns that are being created all the time.
Down here.
But they're
This
all,
one.
in some way, variations of
That
the
look
very
nice in
basic
between,
kinds of
different
patterns, I
colour, blue.
think.
In the blue.
And this I've seen on sort of prehistoric pottery. Yeah, sort of like in the UK. I think Neolithic. Could be Bronze Age, so we're going back anywhere from about, I think,
Now this is definitely not
6,000 or so years ago.
Yeah.
Forward. Perhaps a bit older.
Where are you going now? Get off my feet.
Of course, you see it in pottery
Oh,
from
my jars fell
all
on
around
my
the world
foot
from
last night.
prehistoric times.
I got out of bed to do something.
Man's creativity. And we're
Oh,
still
let's have a
using
look,
the
see if
same
I've got any
patterns today
parcels
because
coming.
there's something about
I
them
think I've
that
got all
is
my parcels.
endearing and
I can't do no spending this week.
delightful.
Nope, no more spending this week. Next fortnight I will, but not
About
this
them.
week. You know, there's nothing much
Spirals
I need
and
now.
circles and patterns
Well, I
and
think
such
I've got
things
everything.
are as old as humanity in many
I
ways.
can use for a
Well, as old
while.
as humans have created art. Which is a pretty long time ago.
Yeah, you know me too well, don't you?
Cave paintings
Yeah,
and
you're all scoffed at that. You're going to buy something.
towards the
Don't
end of the
worry.
previous ice
You'll
age,
buy
you know,
something next week.
100,000 years ago, is it, or more? My
I've got to pay
knowledge
off
of dates is a bit rusty and woolly, to say the
I've
least.
got to
But
pay off a few things next week.
absolutely
Get them out of
amazing.
the way. Got to get Optus some money again next week. And I've got to keep some money back for Optus.
And I'm smiling as I think about these things because I'm remembering the wonder and the beauty of them
Okay, guys. See ya.
made with the